Hey, hi. Hello. Hey, it's like 11 p.m. and I didn't really expect to be recording an intro for a video right now, so I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. Um, the not Nintendo. Oh my God, I'm not even editing this. The Pokemon Giga Leaks just happened today, and everybody's really enjoying these funny stories and everything that have been circulating online. I did a little dramatic recording, a little dramatic reading of a bunch of these stories, and they were over on TikTok. Everybody liked them a lot on TikTok, and so I'm just putting them all together here on YouTube or Rumble. So enjoy. That's it. I'm gonna cut into it now and probably go to sleep after I edit this. Bye bye. This is a dramatic reading of Original Sin based on the current Pokemon world. In the distant past, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was still blurred, there was a woman and her companions. Every day they were bored, so they would often catch Slackoth living in the nearby forest. They played cruel games with the captured Slackoth, sometimes killing them for fun, gouging out their eyes, or cutting off their ears. One day, the woman was walking alone in the forest and saw a Slackoth coming from a tree. She decided to climb the tree to catch it, but slipped and injured herself. At that moment, a Vigoroth appeared. This Vigoroth had a torn ear. The woman, startled, tried to flee, but her injured leg hurt too much, and she couldn't move. The Vigoroth with the torn ear suddenly attacked her when it saw her. The woman lost consciousness. When she awoke, she was in an unfamiliar place. Before her lie a clear lake surrounded by trees, from which many Slackoth and Vigoroth were hanging. All the Pokemon bore wounds somewhere on their bodies, marks left by the woman and her companions. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that some of the Slackoth hanging from the trees were corpses. They were the very Slackoth that the woman and her friends had killed and discarded. The Slackoth were throwing these corpses into the lake. Terrified, the woman tried to run away, but a Slacking appeared. This Slacking also had a torn ear. The woman realized that this was the same Vigoroth that she had seen earlier, and fear overwhelmed her, causing her to faint once more. When the woman regained consciousness, she found herself at the entrance of the forest near her home, surrounded by her friends. They carried her back to her home. Sometime later, the woman gave birth to a child, but it wasn't a human child. It was a Slackoth. She intended to abandon it, but couldn't bring herself to do so. She stopped meeting with her friends and decided to raise the Slackoth. One day, her friends, concerned about her, visited the area near her home. They found the Slackoth sleeping there, the child of the woman. As they always did, they caught the Slackoth, stabbed it in the chest, and killed it. They took its corpse and headed to the woman's house. When she saw the slain Slackoth, the woman was overwhelmed with sorrow. She grabbed the Slackoth's body and ran deep into the forest. Her friends, shocked, chased after her. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the surroundings suddenly opened up, and they found the same clear lake from before. Around the lake were the many Slackoth and Vigoroth. The woman stood before the lake and, holding the lifeless body of the Slackoth, she threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the woman's friends began to treat the Slackoth as companions, just as she had in her final moments. What the hell, guys? What the hell, Game Freak? Y'all getting game freaky. This is like an Egyptian myth. Like, what are they up to? Okay, this is part 2 of the Pokemon Giga Leak stories, this time featuring Typhlosion. Let's get started. Theme: relationship between humans and Pokemon / human-like way of thinking. A long time ago, when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was unclear. Once upon a time, there was a village. One day, a girl from the village went to the mountains to collect firewood. The girl found some dry, dead trees deep in the mountain, so she went deeper and deeper. When she woke, the sun was setting and the girl had lost her way. There was a takufu droppings all over the place, which made the girl feel uneasy. Then a man was washing up on the other side of the forest. The man's face was unlike any other man in the village, but he was very handsome. The man said, "You must be lost. I don't know the way down the mountain, but it will be midnight if you follow my footsteps. I'll bring you back tomorrow morning, so why don't you stay and rest at my place tonight?" The girl had no choice but to do as the man said. The man took the girl's hand and started walking. As the sun was setting, we came to a large cave. "This is my house. You must be hungry. Wait for me." Saying this, the man went out of the cave. A short time after the man left, a red light appeared in the distance on the mountain, and some of the trees swaying could be heard. Soon, the man returned with a large load of red nuts. "After I eat this, I'm going to sleep. Even if you wake up before me, don't look at me." When the girl woke up the next morning, the man was still asleep. The girl kept her promise to the man and continued to wait, but eventually fell asleep again. The girl was woken up by the man's voice. When she looked outside, the sun was already setting. "Let's eat some green fruit today. Wait for me." And with that, he went out of the cave. After a short time, the man left. A red light appeared in the distance, and on the mountain and the trees swaying could be heard. When the sun had completely set, the man returned home bearing a large load of green nuts. The man said, "After I eat this, I'm going to sleep. Even if you wake up before me, don't look at me." The girl said that she wanted to go home quickly because her family was worried about her. The man yawned loudly and smacked the girl on the head. The girl then completely forgot about her family and her home. Then they both ate the green fruit and fell asleep. The next day, the two of them woke up as the sun was setting. The man went to gather nuts, and the two of them ate them and went back to sleep. As life continued like this, the girl eventually realized that the man was a Bakufun. As winter approached, Bakufun dug deep into the cave and said to the girl, "Go and gather some firewood. Break off the top branches of the tallest trees you can find." The girl tried to do as Bakufun had said, but she was afraid of tall trees, so she could only climb the low ones. After collecting some branches and returning home, Bakufun said, "No, we have to be on a higher branch or else the humans will see us." As the snow began to fall, the two of them slept in the depths of that deepening hole. There was plenty of food. She woke up every now and then to eat and then to sleep again. One day, the girl woke up to find a child in her arms. After several days and nights passed, the girl woke up and Bakufun said, "Your father is looking for you, but you're my wife and I can't give you back. I have to fight him." The girl said, "Please stop. Don't kill my father. How can I live with you after killing my family? You're a good person, so let's stay here and sleep." "Okay," he said, "I'll sleep here." The man nodded. The next night, Bakufun woke the girl up and said, "Your father is nearby. Go and look outside." When the girl went outside, a snowstorm was blowing around her. He climbed a low tree and broke its branch. When they returned to the cave, Bakufun was singing a song they had never heard before. "You have broken the branch. Your father will be here soon. Now I'm going to do something bad to your father. If you kill me, you can have my eyes, my voice, and my heart. Then I want you to build a fire where I was killed and let it burn. Then I want you to sing this song until it burns out." The girl said, "Please stop. You're going to kill my father. Please stop. Let yourself be killed." "Goodbye," he said. "We'll never meet again." With that said, Bakufun went outside. After a while, a loud noise was heard, and the girl peeked outside. Then it was revealed that the girl's father had killed Bakufun. The girl ran outside and told her father, "Your father killed your son. I've lived with him until now. He is my husband. Please give me your husband's eyes, heart, and voice, Bakufun." The girl built a fire at the place where Bakufun was killed and poured her eyes, heart, and voice into the flames. And while it was burning out, she sang the song that she learned from him. The girl's father built a hut on the outskirts of the village and put the girl and her child in it. Eventually, spring came. The young men in the village often teased and abused the girl and her child. It got worse day by day, and at one point they tried to cover it with the fur of a Tyrannosaurus rex. The girl returned home and complained to her parents. "Tell the villagers not to make fun of us. If we wear those skins, we'll surely turn into Bakufuns. Even now, I am half dead." Even though my parents tried to explain it, the people in the village would not listen. On the contrary, he became even more amused and covered the girl and child with Tyrannosaurus furs. The girl and the child then howled loudly, disappeared into the depths of the forest. The two had never returned. That's how people found out. Bakufun is half human. Okay, so if you guys don't know, Bakufun is Typhlosion. I had to look this up because I never heard that before myself, but there you go. That's the Typhlosion one. I'm starting to notice a theme here. I don't know if you could catch it either, but that's that one. Okay, this is part 3 of the Pokemon Gigaleak stories, and this one is about Octillery. Let's do it. Theme: the collapse of culture and relationships. There was a time when the boundary between Pokemon and humans was blurred. In a coastal village, there was a man. One day, as he was walking along the shore, he found a female Octillery washed up on the beach. The man had relations with the Octillery. Just right away. Okay. And then threw it back into the sea. The next day, he went to the same spot and found the same Octillery again. Once more, he had relations with it and threw it back into the sea as before. One night, after several days had passed, the man had a dream. In the dream, the Octillery spoke to him. "I cannot come to you, but I will deliver your child to you. It is our child, yours and mine." The next morning, the man went to the place where he had met the Octillery. There he had found a boy. The man took the boy home and raised him. Time passed, the boy grew into a young man, and the father passed away. The young man was always lonely. One day, as the young man was walking along the shore, he saw a group of people playing in the distance. They all had very large swords in their hands as they danced. The young man approached the people, and as he got closer, he saw that Sharpedo were playing along the beach. When he tried to get even closer, the Sharpedos suddenly leapt into the sea all at once. However, one of the Sharpedo lingered, looking around 3 times before swimming away. At the spot where the Sharpedo had been playing, there was a large sword laying on the ground. It was the shape he had never seen before, and it was very sharp and pointed. The young man took the sword home. The next day, the young man took the sword and went into the forest. While walking through the forest, he encountered an Ursaring. He tried slashing at the Ursaring's mouth with the sword, and the mouth was easily severed. Next, he stabbed at the Ursaring's eyes, and they were easily pierced. Finally, the young man thrust the sword into the Ursaring's chest, and the Ursaring died effortlessly. That day, the young man killed 30 Ursaring. After that, he always carried the sword with him, playing by injuring the Pokemon he encountered or cutting off parts of their bodies. One autumn, while the young man was searching for firewood, he lost his way. After walking for a while, he stumbled upon an Ursaring's den. Inside, there was an elderly Ursaring lying down. The elderly Ursaring looked at the young man and said, "Come inside." The young man hesitated, but as it was getting dark outside, he entered the den. Before long, people began to enter the den one after the other, filling the room completely. Looking closer, he saw that all the people had scarred faces, and some were missing their eyes. They were chatting among themselves, but the young man ignored them and fell asleep. At one point, he woke up to find the elderly Ursaring lying beside him. He fell asleep again. When he awoke once more, there were many people around. When he awoke once more, there were many people around, talking about something. Again, the young man ignored them and went back to sleep. When spring arrived, the elderly Ursaring spoke. "Do you want to go home? Then I shall send you home. When you return, a whale lord will soon be found near the village. Go there. We will send a man. You must leave the sword behind and bring a witness." Why did you do such things, cutting faces and slicing off noses? The elderly Ursaring escorted the young man back to the village. Upon his return, the young man recounted everything that had happened to the villagers. The following morning, the young man took some villagers with him and headed to the shore. As they walked along the coast, they found a large werewolf. Nearby, on the beach, it was a teddy ursa. When it noticed the young man, the teddy ursa hid in the forest, and a large Ursaring came out in its place. As the Ursaring charged at him, the young man tried to draw the sword he had hidden, but it got stuck, and he couldn't pull it out. So he rushed at the Ursaring with his bare hands. The young man and the Ursaring grappled, punching each other's faces. They strangled each other with all their strength, and so they choked each other to death, collapsing on top of one another. The villagers went back and told others what they had seen. The end. Okay, so this is part 4 of the Pokemon Giga Leaks. This is another one about Ursaring, which I've been told in the comments that there's several, but this is another one that I found. Also, if you're curious about the Lapras one, I did look that up, and it's the exact same as the Octillery one. I don't know if they were just workshopping which Pokemon to have relationships with, have relations, but anyway, let's get into the story. There was a forest spreading at the foothills of a mountain, and at its base lived 2 brothers. They survived by gathering berries and hunting Ursaring. The berries only ripened during the short summer, and in winter they withered and were covered by deep snow. During the summer, Ursaring were small, weak teddy ursa, but in winter they grew into large, powerful Ursaring. Eating Ursaring meat granted great strength, and their warm fur could ward off even the harshest cold when worn. The older brother was a master hunter, so he brought home prey every day, both in summer and in winter. The younger brother, not skilled in hunting, mostly brought home berries. One hot summer day, the younger brother ventured into the forest. There he saw a beautiful Ursaring. Its rich fur glistened in the sunlight. As the younger brother hurriedly aimed his bow, the Ursaring spoke. "Why do you need my fur on a day when the sun shines so brightly? Why do you need my meat when there are so many berries around here? Your brother has killed my family, and now I am the only female left in this forest. If I die, we will disappear forever." The younger brother lowered his bow and said, "Then I will not kill you, but I want to be near your beautiful fur. Please, stay with me." The Ursaring became the younger brother's wife. Together, they gathered berries throughout the forest. The Ursaring showed the younger brother where to find berries that people did not know about. In return, the younger brother told the Ursaring when his brother would go out hunting. Throughout the summer, the brothers did not eat the meat of teddy ursa or Ursaring. When winter came, the Ursaring appeared before the younger brother, accompanied by a male. The Ursaring said, "They have already given me children, so use them to sustain your lives." The younger brother killed the male Ursaring, skinned it, and cut up the meat. He buried the remains in the soil along the seeds. When the younger brother and the Ursaring offered their prayers of gratitude, the snow parted and small saplings emerged. Thanks to the prey the younger brother brought home, the brothers did not freeze or starve. However, the older brother was not pleased that only the younger brother always brought home meat. One snowy night, the older brother went out hunting. Deep in the forest at the end of the mountain, an Ursaring was pushing through the snow, searching for food. It was the younger brother's wife, the Ursaring. Her rich fur glowed faintly under the moonlight, making her appear strikingly large. As the older brother raised his bow, the Ursaring spoke. "You do not starve because of the meat your younger brother brings. You do not freeze because of the fur your younger brother brings." But the older brother paid no heed and shot the arrow. The older brother returned home with his catch. When the younger brother saw the beautiful fur and meat his older brother had brought back, he rushed outside. Startled, the older brother chased after him, and there the younger brother stood before the carcass of the slain Ursaring. The beautiful fur was stripped away, and the meat had been taken, leaving only the eyes, heart, and the voice. The younger brother gathered these remnants and disappeared deep into the forest. The older brother called out to him in a loud voice, over and over, but the younger brother never returned. The end. Okay, so this is part 5 of the Pokemon GigaLeaks dramatic readings. This one is about Rapidash, so let's get into it. Theme: Humans hunting Pokemon / Native American ecology philosophy. In the past, when the boundary between humans and Pokemon was blurred, there was a grassy plain and a large lake at the foot of a mountain. 2 men lived on the west and east sides of the lake. The 2 men lived by hunting Pokemon. The man living in the west was not particularly skilled, but he strictly followed the hunting rules. The man living in the east was a skilled hunter, but often neglected these rules. One day, the man from the west went out to hunt and saw a Rapidash on the plain. Its lush mane shone beautifully in the sunlight. As the man from the west readied his bow, the Rapidash spoke. "We have children now. If I die, there will be none of us left in this plain." The man from the west lowered his bow and said, "Then I will not kill you. However, I desire your beautiful mane, so I ask you to become my wife." The Rapidash became the wife of the man from the west. After about 2 months, when a Ponyta began to appear on the plains, the man from the west was riding on the back of his wife, the Rapidash, running across the plain. Eventually, they reached a place where the Rapidash and Ponyta were resting. The wife said, "They are my husbands. If you need, you may hunt them. If you treat them with care, they will not die. However, do not kill the female Rapidash or the Ponyta. The female Rapidash are my sisters, and the Ponyta are my children. That means the female Rapidash are your sisters-in-law, and the Ponyta are like your children." A few days later, the man from the east went out hunting. When he reached the plains, he found a Ponyta. He immediately shot an arrow and killed it. As he continued looking for more prey, he encountered a Rapidash. It was a female Rapidash. The Rapidash tried to say something, but the man from the east ignored it and shot his arrow instead. He then cut off the mane of the Rapidash and it killed, and, proud of the beautiful mane, decided to show it off to the man from the west. He wrapped the mane around his head and headed home. Eventually, tired of walking, the man from the east decided to rest under a large tree by the lake. As the man from the west and his wife, the Rapidash, walked along the lake shore, they saw a glimpse of the Rapidash's mane under the shadow of the big tree. "He is male. He has no children. So if you need, you may hunt him," said the wife. With that, the man shot an arrow at the Rapidash. When he approached the prey, he found the man from the east lying there, wrapped in the Rapidash mane. "Take this mane back with you, and when you hunt Rapidash, follow the rules I have told you." With those words, the Rapidash said farewell to the man from the west and returned to the plains. The end. Okay, so this is part 6 of the Pokemon Leaks stories, and this one is featuring Tauros. Now, I do just want to say before I begin that this will probably be the last one. There's a few other ones that I saw, but they are mostly just repeats of the other ones with different Pokemon. And there is one other one with Arceus, but that reads more like the creation story from the Bible, and it's also very long. So I don't know if I'm going to do that one. And thank you guys so much for enjoying this series. Please check me out on all my platforms. I look at weird internet stuff all the time. So anyway, let's get into it. There was a family of hunters. It consisted of an elderly father and mother, a brother and a sister. The mother and the sister went out to the forest to gather berries as usual. The father and brother went hunting as usual. As always, they crossed the mountain and came to a field where they found a Tauros. The Tauros charged towards them with tremendous force. The frightened brother froze in place. The father jumped in front of the Tauros to protect his son and got injured. However, the father quickly shot an arrow, and the Tauros fell. The father approached the caught prey and cut off its horns. Then he offered a prayer and threw them into the sky. While cutting the skin and the meat with a large knife, he said to his brother, When you catch a Tauros, always cut off the horns first, and don't forget to pray. The next day, the mother and sister went out to the forest to gather berries as usual. The elderly father was injured, and they still had yesterday's catch, so he told them to rest. However, the brother, eager to become a full-fledged hunter, went out hunting himself. As he entered the mountains, he came across a ferret. The brother quickly shot an arrow and caught the ferret. As his father had taught him long ago, he cut off the tail of the caught ferret, offered a prayer, and buried it in the ground. Then he cut the skin and meat and proceeded deeper into the mountains. While washing the knife he used to prepare the ferret in a lake in the middle of the forest, a merle appeared on the shore. The brother quickly drew his bow, shot an arrow, and caught the merle. As his father had taught him long ago, he cut the tail off the merle, offered a prayer, and buried it in the ground. Then he cut the skin and meat and proceeded deeper into the mountains. After crossing the mountain and reaching a field, he found another ferret. The brother quickly shot an arrow but missed this time, and the ferret ran away. As he continued through the field, he found a Tauros. The brother quickly shot an arrow and caught the Tauros. He approached the caught prey and cut off its horns and offered a prayer. Then he offered another prayer and buried them in the ground. He cut the skin and meat and returned home. Late at night when he arrived at home, the entire room was in disarray. There were Tauros footprints everywhere. His father was lying on the back of the room. The father said, "Because you did not keep your promise with the Tauros, the women grew horns and became Tauros. Female Tauros are half human. If you cut off the horns, they're human. If you let the horns grow, they're Tauros. But now the two of them have completely become Tauros." The next morning, when the father and son went to the field, there were two Tauros. When they saw the two men, the Tauros ran off to the other side of the field. The end. A little mysterious in that one.